We have a crane holding up a 960 Newton nails and 1650 Newton beam. Let's make this point here our point of rotation, and let's look at the distances. So we have a 1650 Newton beam. All of the weight of that will look like it comes from the center. And we have a 22-meter distance then for the nails, a 15-meter distance for the weight of the beam, and then we have a force tension attached at 22 meters from our point of rotation. Our job is to find the value of force tension and the force of the pole. And we're not going to pay attention to this side of the question here. We're going to pretend that that does not exist to simplify the question. So let's get started with the sum of all torques. We know the sum of all torques must equal 0, equals, well, the torque generated by this beam would be negative because it's clockwise, so negative 1650 multiplied by a distance of 15. And then we have a 960 newtons, negative because that's clockwise torque also, and that's going a distance of 22 meters. Now we have a positive force tension since it is causing counterclockwise torque, and the distance of that is also 22 meters. We need to add the sine of 26 for that, because we're at a 26-degree angle. So we get a value of force tension equal to 4,756 newtons. Now let's look. We need to find the value of the force pole next. So let's write this over here for clarity. Force pole in the y direction would be pointing straight upwards. Force pole in the x direction would be pointing to the right. And of course, then our vector is actually pointing this way for the force pole. So we can find force pole y and force pole x separately, and then Pythagorize that together to get our vector. We can also get the angle if we want to. Okay, so where does this come from then? Well, force tension will also have a force tension y and a force tension x. So let's label that in there. This is force tension y. And this one over here, all right here, is force tension x. Now see, force tension x will be pointing this way, force tension y will be pointing in that direction. Okay, so force pole x is pointing this way, force tension x is opposing it, and those are the only two forces in the x direction. So we're going to say the sum of all forces in the x direction equals force pole x minus force tension x, but that would be equal to 4,756 times the cosine of 26. Therefore, force pole x is equal to 4,275 newtons. Now let's do likewise for a force pole line. So we're going to say the sum of all forces in the y direction equals 0, equals force pole y plus force tension y, but that would equal 4,756 times the sine of 26. And then minus the 960 for the nails, and then minus the 1650 for the beam. And then we get force pole y equal to 525 newtons. Okay, and then our job is to get the value of force pole. So we just need to Pythagorize those together. So force pole is going to equal the square root of 4,275 squared plus 525 squared. And the force pole is equal to 4,307 newtons. Now we could find the value of the angle. We're not going to, but all you need to do then is inverse, take the inverse tangent of 525, okay, divided by 4,275 in order to get that angle.